Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. What's going on with the real estate business in the Greater Toronto Area is a topic that, after Trump and after, politics and maybe trade wars and things like that, hockey, I guess, 2 weeks ago, is the topic that everyone wants to talk about because nobody knows. Listings appear to be up, prices appear to be, I don't know, flat. So I thought we'd check in with someone who has been a realtor for a numerous time, over 17 years in the real estate finance and investment business, but also has her own international podcast where she talks about real estate and entrepreneurship issues. So somebody that knows what she's talking about from a real estate standpoint, and that's Nicole Forrester. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm thrilled to be here.
So you've been a real estate broker serving the Greater Toronto Area for 17 years.
Well, actually, I've been in real estate for about 13, but I was a stockbroker and investment executive with one of our big four prior to that. So I've been
that's a good experience. And, certainly some people thought that 2008, 2009 was going to be tough in the real estate business. And it was in the United States, but it wasn't in Canada. And people that I talked to say that the only comparable is sort of prior to 1990, where some people were saying there'd be a bust. Other people were saying there's not going to be a bust, and no one knew until it happened. Are we in potential bust territory? Are we in bubble territory, or is it just business as usual? What's your assessment, Nicole?
Since September, we've seen some massive rate cuts. And we're expecting to see that continue. In fact, the economic indicators and our economists have been saying that we are going to see that continue throughout the rest of 2025. That actually creates an environment in the Greater Toronto Area to support the increase in sales. We continue to see, issues in the Greater Toronto Area because, hey, everybody wants to live here. If you live in Canada, you want to come to the Greater Toronto Area. If you're
so let me, we'll go back and forth on this if that's okay. So we've had out migration in Toronto and Mississauga for the first time almost in history, where people are moving to, smaller towns, but also to Alberta. And one of the major reasons is home affordability. So I understand what you're saying in regards to everyone wanting to live here, but if we have out migration, isn't that an issue?
That was an issue, but as the cost of money becomes less, because when our lending rates go down, and not only have our lending rates gone down, but also the lending conditions are more favorable, meaning that the self-employed, in December, they brought in some changes that now allow people to purchase between $1 million and 1.5 with less than 20% down. It's giving greater accessibility to people. To be able to buy in the Greater Toronto Area. And we've seen prices come down significantly over the last couple of years in every segment.
So condos, let's start with there. I understand there's something like 26,000 condos delivered in the Greater Toronto Area last year. People are saying there's going to be something like 35,000 delivered this year. We've got an inventory of condos that are either for sale or for assignment or for rent or something like that. It's sort of unheard of. Condo prices are down. Some people tell me 30 to something percent, and that rental prices are down by 10%. What do you think about the condo business?
I think it's on sale and it's a great time to buy. As an ex-stockbroker, we don't buy when it's high, we buy when it's low. And sometimes we double down on that. And that's what I'm going to say to people who have been sitting on the sidelines, younger people and professionals who haven't been able to purchase. Now is a fantastic time to get your foot in the door. And what you've got is a trajectory over the next 5 years where likely you're going to see massive equity gains in that condo market. You have a great inventory to choose from. You can negotiate and you don't have to buy in a bidding war. These are circumstances that are very favorable for homeowners and for people to get their foot in the door and really start to go up that property ladder. So, the reason why we have the condo market that's flooded is because we had high interest rates. And if you look at the ownership of condos, only about 30% of condos are primary residences of people. So they were investment properties. And, a lot of these were new builds. And when they came up and the prices had come down significantly, there was a shortfall between appraisals and, So people weren't getting funding. This is why there was a massive sell-off. Also, with the rental tribunal being backed up, which was from the pandemic, and having issues there and people paying their rent, it became a bigger risk to be a landlord. So as we see these things change, so we're seeing more favorable environment for the lenders to actually fund people for their investment properties. There's one. Carrying costs are less because interest rates are down. And the tribunal is finally getting its act together and clearing through its backlog, which means it's more business as usual. And if someone isn't paying their rent, they're going to be, taken care of, or you're going to have that hearing in a shorter period of time.
Why do you think there's going to be equity gains?
Well, traditionally, if you look at, real estate from the beginning of time, there have been blips in those markets, but it's an upward trajectory. And we've already seen, decreases. We've seen, when we had a blip in 2017, it came back from that and went beyond. That if we are going to look at past history and numbers as indicative of future history, we can expect that these prices are going to go, they're going to supersede what we've seen at our peak. And we are not at our peak any longer.
So it's interesting because, come back to this sort of deliveries of condos, and you probably know these numbers better than I, but I've been told, as I mentioned, sort of like 25,000 condos delivered in 2024, 36,000 being delivered in 2026. So the market might actually get even supplied, oversupplied even more than its current oversupply in 2025. But that goes down to 18,000 supposedly in 2026, and then down to 2,000 in 2027. And 80 projects supposedly that were supposed to be initiated in 2024 and 25 have been put on hold. So, this current oversupply situation may not continue forever, which would lead potentially in 2027, 2028, 2029 to an undersupply situation, which, if you're right, and I'm right, could lead to some interesting gains. Not next year, but in a couple of years. What do you think of that?
It's a long-term hold. And, the people that I'm suggesting purchase a condo are people who haven't been able to enter the real estate market. So, there's some fantastic programs by lenders right now to help people who are having difficulty getting their down payment together, to assist with down payments. There are strategies with RSP loans where you can get low rate loans from your lender, contribute it to your RSP for 90 days. And if you're a first home buyer, you then take it out and pay that back slowly over 15 years. There are great first buyer home incentives and rebates in your purchases from land transfer points of view. They're cashback mortgages. So there are a lot of great programs that are available to help people. And, real estate is a long-term hold. I'm not suggesting that you flip real estate at this point. I'm talking about people who want to build equity, who are living in the city of Toronto. This is your affordable housing moment to get in and to make that transition from being a long-term renter to being a homeowner.
In condos, affordable in condos, potentially, not in the balance of the market. Well, we'll come back to the balance of the market. And developers are offering deals now like never before. Free lockers, free maintenance, other things. Is that not the case?
Absolutely. And we rarely see this. I mean, I've been, studying real estate for the last 13 years as a full-time realtor, managing broker, and team leader. And this is a great time. Things are on sale. This is when you buy, so.
I love your positivity. Thanks so much. This is incredible. We're going to take a break, though, for some messages and come back in just 2 minutes with Nicole Forrester, talking about the current real estate market in the Greater Toronto Area. It sounds like she thinks that this is a buying opportunity for condos and that long-term appreciation opportunities are there. I'm not sure. I think there might be a little bit more downside to go, but you never know when the bottom is. We'll come back in 2 minutes talking about the real estate market. We're gonna go into townhomes and into semis and into single family homes and really canvass the market for your benefit today with our expert Nicole Forrester. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. My guest tonight is Nicole Forrester. Our topic is the real estate market in the Greater Toronto Area. Nicole is a highly experienced real estate broker, proudly serving the Greater Toronto Area with over 17 years of combined experience across real estate, finance, and investment. Nicole, your career, I understand, began on Bay Street, where you worked as an investment executive and a professional financial planner for one of Canada's largest financial institutions. And that foundation has given you the opportunity to get some experience in negotiating some financial transactions, some high value financial transactions, and a distinct advantage when you transitioned into real estate 12 years ago. You became managing broker for Century 21, one of the largest and well-respected offices in Toronto, before making the move to align your business with a new entity called eXp Realty, which is a global tech-forward real estate company operating in 27 countries with over 90,000 agents. And you now lead a team of high-producing realtors, empowering them with your broker expertise, mentorship, hands-on support to help them excel in their careers. Wow. So why out of finance into real estate, into EXP, and then a team? Tell me about the transition.
Well, some of it's life. Life takes you down that stream. I was very young when I became an investment executive. And that's an all commission based industry. And as a young woman who wanted to have a family, I moved over, with my accreditation as a financial planner, and I was in one of the largest flagship banks in Toronto, and I managed a book for them. At that time, it was about 40 million of their best clients and their assets to grow that book. At that point, I took on the lending piece. And I started getting interested in real estate myself, purchasing properties and flipping them, married to a contractor. So I was involved in that as well. And what I really realized by analyzing that book of business some of the wealthiest families in the Greater Toronto Area is that real estate was the investment and the basis of all of their wealth and their generational wealth.
Real estate is the basis of their generational wealth. Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's forget the stock market. Let's forget RSPs. Let's just put our money in real estate.
Well, I mean, what I did learn on Bay Street was asset allocation, and modern asset allocation theory is not to have all your eggs in one basket. And that is still sound advice. But what I also learned, and this goes back to what we're talking about in the condo market, is that it's folly to try and time markets, that we only know the peak and the bottom of markets in retrospect. So, where is the condo market's lowest point going to be? Is it going to be this year? Is it going to be next year? We don't have a crystal ball, but we know it's pretty low. And we know that the market indicators are pushing forward, going forward, as you said, even with what we were talking about with the number of condos, new condos coming available over the next few years. So, all we can do is sort of learn from that. And so I do a hybrid of what I learned on Bay Street in finance and modern asset allocation theory and apply that with real estate. You shouldn't have all your eggs in the real estate basket either. Spread it out so that when one's down, you've hedged against that.
So let's come back to condos, and in a minute we're going to go on to townhomes, duplexes, semis, single family homes, etc. Let's stay on condos. So, explain, if you could, sort of what happened. During the last 5 years, the condo market was booming, and condos were being built everywhere. And as I think you said a couple minutes ago, only 30% are sort of occupied by the owners. So that means 70% are occupied by people that are investors that buy those condos and then try to rent them out. CIBC and others have done analyses that said like 80% of the people that had those investment condos were losing money on a monthly basis because the rent wasn't covering their carrying costs. And then this year, a lot of them are in a situation, as you said, where they're getting appraisals for the condos that are being delivered that are below sort of what they contracted to buy at. And so therefore they're living in a situation where they got to come up with more money to actually close on their condos in addition to the deposits they put down in the past. Wouldn't that suggest that we've got more to go, that there's a lot of pressure on the market?
We could go down a little bit further, there's no doubt. No, like I said, nobody has a crystal ball, but real estate is a long-term hold. So over a 5-year period of time, I expect that to gain substantially. Are you going to be buying at the absolute lowest? Maybe, maybe not. And each person's position is different. Rents are not at an all-time high. That's true. I'm personally not suggesting to buy it necessarily as an investment condo. I'm suggesting that it is better to own than it is to rent in the city of Toronto or anywhere for that matter, because you're always paying into your own pocket and you need to live somewhere. So why not pay down your own mortgage instead of your landlord's? That's the investment. You're paying into that, and then you have the ability to participate in the capital gain. It's a long-term hold, and that's not so different from what Warren Buffett preaches, which is buy your index fund and follow it and hold for the long term. It's not sexy, but it'll make you money over the long term. And these are the ways that, truthfully, the Canadians have led in conservative type of investments over time.
What's your
Uh,
sense of how far down the condo market is? I've been told that sort of condo prices were between 1,000, 1,200, and maybe in the top parts of Yorkville or things like that, even $1,400 a square foot, but are now down to like $900 to $1,000 a square foot. What's your sense of sort of the current dollars per square foot that people can buy condos for in the Greater Toronto Area?
Here, I don't love talking about new builds because let me tell you, how is it buying a new build any different than buying before you sell in a bidding war? You're taking a risk on whether you can close about the future market. I'm a much bigger proponent for resale properties than I am new build
Okay, so
property.
what's the condos going for, either on a bedroom or on a per square foot basis in a resale market today?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that in our recent figures from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, condo prices were down 1.6%, and your average price was about 670,000. Now, you take that into the Mississauga area, you're down a little bit less, about 0.2% year over year, and you're looking at an average price of 691,000 for a condo.
For what size? Is there an
For
average size?
average size would be a one bedroom, one bathroom condo.
Okay. So not down nearly as much as I'm suggesting. I think they're down.
No.
Hmm. That's interesting. Okay. And so inventory is up dramatically. And
Yes.
and time on the market is up dramatically. Wouldn't that
Yes.
suggest that there should be more decline in the future?
Well, what's interesting is so we were down 7%, in Toronto and also in Mississauga in January 2025 in sales. But the average price of a detached property was still up year over year, about 1.5%. So what does that tell you? Prices are still going up as sales are down. And what we are projecting going forward, March 12th, we have another interest rate. We're expecting another interest rate decrease. We're going to see, traditionally in Canada, when the snow recedes and the sun comes out, that's when people want to move. We're actually looking forward to a very robust spring. And people also like to move in the spring so that their children can be settled and they close in the summer months. So then they can start school. This is something that, despite all markets, it's a community thing in Canada that happens every year.
So some people are worried about Donald Trump, about tariff war, about what the impact of that might be on the economy. That the governor of the Bank of Canada said it was a several percentage point to permanent decline in Canada's GDP. Doug Ford called an election because he said that it was critical and he needed to have the mandate to spend a whole bunch of money. People are worried about their jobs. They're worried about layoffs. They're worried about the economy. How does that play into the decision to buy real estate?
Well, from what I can tell from what the economists are saying, and that's all we can sort of go on because we're in unprecedented territory, they're going to continue to drop the interest rates. And that's what's going to affect the housing market in the Greater Toronto Area the most. Long term, who knows? I mean, I remember when free trade came in and all the subsidiaries from the multinational corporations that were operating in Canada packed up and went back to the United States. So we lost a large amount of manufacturers because they no longer were hiding from the tariffs that we had on them. Perhaps in the long term, I mean, let's not forget the fact that we are the biggest consumer for the United States outside of themselves, right? So there's going to be a certain amount of US companies that are going to come back to mostly Ontario, I would think, with manufacturing to avoid the tariffs that we will necessarily put on. So from a long-term perspective, we have to calculate that in as well.
So condos are down. You and I have got a slightly different point of view about whether they're going to go down any farther, and how I think we're both optimistic about the long-term future for condo investment. What about the balance of the market? Because as you point out, single-family home sales are even though the inventory is up and sales are down, it would appear prices are holding. And so, why would it be that the condo market is being negatively impacted, but it doesn't seem to have drifted into the balance of the market, townhomes and semis and single family homes? Can you explain that?
That's a great question. But the condo market and the actual detached home market often run on a different trajectory. What is happening in the condo market is very much a part of investment issues and new builds with long closes. And this is what I'm talking about. People think they're not. For many years, people didn't feel like they were taking a chance by buying a new build 2 years out, that it could close. But, we saw for the first time that 2 years out, the price was $100,000 less than when they bought it. And then they had to come up with another 100,000. That's a phenomenon that we hadn't seen prior. That was a risk that people are now having to deal with. That's not the situation in the, detached housing market as much. Not to mention that you're looking at the ownership in actual properties in the Greater Toronto Area at a much higher level opposed to being investments. These are people's primary residence.
So given that, what do you think is going to happen with single family homes? Like, while prices may not be down, they're also not shooting up. So is it still as good a long-term investment as you say it has been in the past?
Absolutely. We've seen, on many houses, from peak moments, the prices go back $300,000. How much more do you want to gain before you're like, this is a good deal? And there's the potential for it to go back to what it was.
So you think single family home prices are down $300,000?
Some of them are, absolutely. I mean, we've been over $1 million. I mean, right now we've got home prices on average in the Greater Toronto Area at $1,040,000. And we've been over $1 million in the Toronto area for an average home for a long period of time. But as you know, like in Mississauga, right now, a detached home, the average price is $1,300,000. So we do have that varying amount, and especially in the higher priced homes, there are many properties that during the peak they would go for 1.2, and now they're going for $1 million.
It is one of these interesting things. The statistics say that the selling price is still going up, albeit 1% up. But I get emails like on a daily basis, if not on an hourly basis, new price, better price, reduced price. And so it's those unsold homes that are really the sort of the indication about where pricing is going to go in the future, no?
Well, I mean, I feel like we're looking a gift horse in the mouth here because our inventory in the Greater Toronto Area can, in 2 months' time, we'll be back to bidding wars on everything. Right now, the average days on the market is just about 30 days. Historically, that's a blessing. It's a much better thing for all parties to be working in a more balanced market where we have the opportunity to negotiate, to think clearly, to get your proper conditions in as a buyer with finance, inspection, instead of making these decisions based on scarcity, which is, oh my goodness, I better put in $1 million offer on a property before it becomes 1,100,000 and I can't be in my neighborhood or where my child is going to school or where I want to live. So
So
it's a good thing.
you think now is the time to buy condos? Now is the time to buy single family homes?
Absolutely. And we're definitely seeing more of a run in the, if you want to consider it the more affordable segment for families, like the townhomes and the, anything under $1 million, the semi-detached homes, the smaller homes, because, families can grow. It's more affordable for families. So those properties will move quicker than anything over $1 million. But then you've got that range where people now can put down less than 20% from 1 million to 1.5. So that's another range which has a new group of buyers since December that are available. Now over 1.5, you still got to put down to 20%. So that's going to be the range where you're going to see things move the slowest.
So luxury is potentially a slower market than the more affordable homes. Maybe we can come back and talk a little bit about that. Maybe we can talk about townhomes. Maybe we can talk about the second home market after a break. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes chatting tonight with Nicole Forrester about the real estate market in the Greater Toronto Area right now. We've been talking that the condo market is down. Inventory is up dramatically. I think it may have some room to go down further. Nicole, I think, thinks that now is a great time to buy, but it appears that both of us think that long-term it's a good investment. So you know what? That's what makes a market. That's what makes, different people having different points of view. We're going to take a break. Back in 2 minutes with Nicole Forrester talking about the Toronto real estate market. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting tonight with Nicole Forrester. She's a real estate broker in the Greater Toronto Area. She's been in that business for over 13 years, 17 years in real estate and finance and investment. She started on Bay Street in finance, and then she transitioned into to real estate. You also have a global podcast. Tell me about that. It's about a podcast about real estate and entrepreneurship. How'd you get into that?
Well, like all great things, I stumbled into it. I was, introduced to a really I knew I had to add social media to my real estate repertoire. I was trained by an old school broker and I was a managing broker of a Century 21 in Toronto. So I was taught the old school way. But at a stage where I had to add social media to my career to make it boom. And I connected with some fantastic social media realtors. And actually, one of our leaders at EXP and the Wolf Pack is the #1 attractor globally. And he's Canadian. He's a former engineer. And what he did was he created a social media academy that allows people to brand themselves and to understand the ins and outs of all the social media platforms. And one of the things that they encourage you to do is to branch out. And always had a good mouth, Brian. So I was always happy to chat. And podcasts just came naturally to me. So I'm also very interested in learning from other people.
So if people want to check out your podcast, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can check it out on Spotify under Global Real Estate and Entrepreneurship Podcast. You can also check things out on YouTube under Nicole Forrester Real Estate Broker. Subscribe and get notifications, and then you'll see all my podcasts that I also release in video form. And then, of course, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok under Nicole Forrester Real Estate Broker.
What's Wolfpack?
So the Wolf Pack, so this global organization it's moved away from the franchise model. And the Wolf Pack is the group that I'm with within the larger organization. And we're actually the social media sweethearts of this tech giant, because basically it's a cloud-based brokerage. So we've been able to connect in a cloud. We actually have a metaverse where 90,000 agents can meet internationally at any period of time to to discuss international real estate. So now all of a sudden, instead of just being local, I've become international, and on a very regular basis, we meet. I have connections all over North America, but all over 27 different countries. So I can warm connect my clients, and we're very multicultural in Toronto, to people that they want to connect with. We just recently went into Dubai. I have, members of my company that I can warm connect my clients to very comfortably in Dubai. I
So if I
have
want to buy a condo in Dubai, you're the person to talk to?
absolutely.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's go back to the real estate market. You were saying that sort of between 1 and 1.5, or maybe even less than 1 million, is an attractive market to buy in. What about luxury? What about, the homes that are in the, in the fancy parts that are going for, I don't know what's luxury defined as, north of two, two and a half, three?
Yes, I mean, it depends on your market, but certainly in the greater Toronto area, it is, or at this point, anything over 1.5. I mean, I would say that, it's like anything. The bigger the investment, the bigger the gain. Over the long term, you're going to have a larger gain in that larger asset. But right now, those assets are moving more slowly because less people have access to that amount of money. It's just what it is.
So what's happening? Is it down? The market, the pricing?
It, it's not down, they're just not moving as quickly. Because what we're seeing is sellers are aware that, their properties have value and they're willing to wait. I feel like people that need to sell off, you see that. You see dramatic price drops. I don't think we're seeing that. What we're seeing are moderate price reductions, because we've gone from this, where people are pricing under to get bid up. That's not really the strategy that's out there right now. People are pricing a little bit higher to be talked down, which is a more traditional strategy. So when you see something not moving for 30 days on the market, it's very traditional to say, okay, if we're marketing it properly and it looks great, then it's the price. Then you bring your price down moderately until you reach the price where the market is going to give you, what you're willing to accept.
I took my dog for a walk out last night, and on my street, there's like 6 homes for sale. And, several of them, hadn't even shoveled the driveway, suggesting to me that the homes are vacant. And they've been on, I think, the market for a while. I think I've remembered seeing the signs for a while. What's going on?
Well, let's not discount our snowbirds, because we got a lot of people and a lot of Canadians trying to get out of this snow these days. So that happens a fair bit. Well, all I can say is this: it's a great time. We have inventory. And I think, Brian, we can have a conversation later this year where we're going to say, I can't believe how quickly that inventory disappeared. There were 6 houses on my street in March that are available that are no longer there now.
So if there's a sizable inventory in the market you want to move into right now, prices aren't down a lot, you say, but they are on the market longer than before. And as you say, the buyers are willing to sort of not transact or willing to wait. What's the strategy? How do you advise the buyers? Is it put in a snake bid, put in a low bid, negotiate, put in bids on a couple of homes? How do you advise the buyer right now?
Well, number one, the first thing everybody needs to do is get a pre-approval to know how much they can reasonably put in. That's always the first step. What is your financial position and what is your goal? What is your long-term goal? So once you know that how much you have available to you to put in an offer, and you know when you want to be there and you know what you're looking for, then you're going to look at your comps. I mean, I'm a stats person. I'm a financial person. We're going to look at what things have sold for. So we know what we think is the general range for the property, not what they're asking, because we base that based on sale prices, not on what people are asking. People can ask whatever they want, but we judge where they are in the market based on recent comparable properties. And so by doing that in a very, systematic way, we come up with what we think the house is worth. And then there's that emotional factor about what it's worth for you, because a market price on a property is what one person is willing to pay for a specific property at a specific period of time. And it's a moving number. So if you want to move in next to your children or be on the street that everybody wants to be on, that price might be a little bit different than a price on a less desirable street that's not next to your best friend.
What about second homes? What's going on in cottage country?
Once again, and I work with a fantastic team of luxury Muskoka realtors, the Wheelan team, God love them. They have so many incredible properties that have come down so much in price. I can't even think of a better time to buy a waterfront property in Muskoka at a low price. I mean, for years, the prices have been skyrocketing, and we have really seen those properties recede in price. So you've got availability, you've got what I've heard is going to be one of the hottest summers we've seen in a long time. It's a fantastic time to get out to Muskoka and buy your waterfront property if that has been your long-term goal. And you look to gain over the next 5, 10 years on that property.
What are people looking for today? Are they looking for, the single family home with 4 bedrooms and a family room or a great room and a big kitchen island and a pool? Like, tell me what are the top asks that you're getting from people?
That's interesting. And I find people are always moving up the property ladder. That's what people are doing. And it really is dependent on where they are in their stage of lives. Like I work with a lot of multi-generational families who are helping their parents sell their, family homes after, we've got the baby boomers staying in their homes for a long period of time. These houses are, they see massive gains on them. They're moving into homes now or assisted living or into condos. So I work with a lot of families that are doing that and they're selling those homes. Sometimes those homes, because they're small bungalows on large lots and premium areas, they're redeveloped into, two properties or larger properties. You see a lot of that happening. But I think, wherever people are, they're always trying to move up to that next stage. So if you're a young professional and I've put young professionals in condos downtown who end up having a baby. And so they want to move a little bit further out and buy a property with a backyard because now they have a child and a dog. And then once again, then they have 2 children and they want to move up to that bigger home. And then you move on to that next stage where you've got, the empty nesters who, either want to move into their dream home or they're ready to move into a condo and travel the world. And then, like I said, we've got those boomers who are held onto their homes forever and they're 90 years old and God bless them. Their families are now sort of taking care of them.
Are pools attractive?
That's an interesting question. They are if you like them, but pools are not an asset. So no matter how beautiful a pool is, you cut down your pool of buyers by 80% when you have a pool. So
Whoa,
it's
that's
a
interesting. You cut down your pool of buyers by 80% when you have a pool because 80% of people just don't want a pool.
no. Well, that's just it. Number one, a pool is an investment. So you have to really want it. It's like a pet. Like you have to really want that pet. It's a commitment, right? There's the maintenance of it. You want to be able to use it. But let's face facts. There's a lot of people with little children who don't want it. There's a lot of elderly people who don't want it. So and then there's many people who are incredibly busy professionals who don't want to take care of it either or won't find a use for it. So I would say no, and especially in a market where, the buying is not, things are not running off the shelf. Absolutely, a house with a pool could sit on the market a little bit longer because you're only getting 20% of the people who actually want that pool, no matter how great that pool is.
Really, that's fascinating. What about a sauna or a whirlpool or a hot tub? Are they the same thing? Cut out some of the people that are in the market?
No. I would say no, because those things are easily removable. Number one, a sauna is very benign and it's a wonderful thing to have. Use it or don't use it. It's not causing you a problem, and I would consider that an asset. Also, a jacuzzi or a whirlpool, those things are easily removable. So you don't want it anymore, get
Take
rid
it
of
out.
it. Take it out.
Okay, I've heard people come in and say, paint everything white and take out the wall-to-wall carpets and put in hardwood. What do you think about that?
I agree. Because the bottom line is this, people don't want to see you in their properties. So, having something neutral instead of something very loud is going to appeal to more people. You want something, many people, I mean, once upon a time, people would come in and not be afraid to paint. People are a little more afraid to paint these days for some reason. I don't know why. But they want to come in and say, I don't have to do anything in here. So painting it a neutral color, whether it's a light gray or a white, is absolutely an asset because you're appealing to a wider group of people, right? And that's what you want to do to get the most for your property. So yeah, and the
If I'm selling, any other
hygiene.
suggestions you'd make? What are the other prime things one should do before selling?
Clear away the clutter. I mean, we're like goldfish. We grow to our environments, right? So we don't even realize the clutter. I mean, I have some fantastic professional stagers that I work with that are brilliant because my stagers will come in and look at the things that you have and pick out your best pieces, position them in a way that highlight the room the best that it can for the best features, but incorporates it just with her own modern few pieces, opposed to take everything out and put in all brand new stuff. So I think that's an art form in and of itself. And I find my clients really love that because it makes them fall in love with their home again. And they don't feel like all their stuff was so bad it needed to be evicted before you could sell it. So I enjoy that, but clear the clutter away. You're going to have to pack it away anyway. Get rid of your personal stuff. Make sure that your all your countertops are cleaned off. And you'd be amazed. You'd be like, I thought this was clean. Meanwhile, you've got a toaster, a blender, a bread box. Just clear it away.
So, Nicole, final comments. It seems to me like you think that the market is a tough market, but it's not down. At least it's down in condos, but in the balance of the market is not down. But there are buying opportunities, low interest rates, and so now's the time to look, if not buy. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. By the time everybody is buying, we're back into bidding wars. So that's the thing about markets. When everybody is sort of on board, that's when you sort of miss the best time. So, now really is the best time. Is it the absolute lowest? I don't have that crystal ball. I wish I did, but market indicators are really supporting, that we are going to, be moving forward with more activity. And actually, Treb, their prediction was that sales were going to be up in 2025 by 12%, and average price for 2025 would be up 2.5%. So that's Toronto Regional Real Estate Board's prediction for 2025.
Nicole Forrester, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. If people want to reach out to you and check out your listings or ask you to take a look at their home, how do they best do that?
Absolutely. Reach out to me on every social media platform under Nicole Forrester Real Estate Broker. You can check out my website, Nicole Bless This Home, or 416-909-2389. Reach out and let's have a chat.
Nicole, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. You are one of the most positive and optimistic people I've met in a long time. So thank you for your positivity. I'm going to come back in 2 minutes and give you my position on what I think is going to be happening in the market. But what Nicole's saying is very true. The whole idea is buy low and sell high, and too many of us buy when it's high because everyone else is buying, and then we are forced to sell when it's low, when the market is terrible. And so therefore, timing the market, timing your purchases and your sales perfectly is pretty challenging. So now that you've got sort of more homes for sale, longer time on the market, may not be the bottom, but maybe Nicole's not wrong. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes.
Thank you.